Red Pikmin. They are debatably the most recognizable type of Pikmin, being featured prominently in marketing and branding for the game. Now, with them being the most recognizable type of Pikmin, you would expect them to be good. However, in most Pikmin games, Red Pikmin turn out to be pretty mediocre and at times practically useless. While you often hear a lot of people complain about how bad Yellow and Blue Pikmin are, there seems to be a lot of people that forget about the Red Pikmin, and they are debatably worse than those other two. In this video I'm going to be taking a look at the complete history of Red Pikmin throughout all 4 games and seeing how good they actually were. Starting off with Pikmin 1, and this is probably the peak of Red Pikmin. I know you guys clicked on this video to hear me rant about how horrible Red Pikmin are, but they're actually pretty good in this game. And don't worry, the complaining isn't far away. Their main abilities in this game and throughout this series is that they can resist fire and that they deal 1.5 times damage. Pikmin 1 makes very good use of their abilities. Starting with fire, fire is pretty plentiful throughout some areas like the forest navel. It's pretty dangerous with it being practically insta-kill if you're not paying attention to it. And fire geysers cannot be turned off in this game and they block carrying routes, so Red Pikmin are the best options for carrying in areas like the forest navel. Their 1.5 times attack damage also makes them the best for combat in this game. They can make quick work of enemies like bull bears, which Blue Pikmin and Yellow Pikmin struggle with, and they are very handy for enemy clearance and dealing with tough bosses. The only other Pikmin that could possibly rival them in combat is Yellow Pikmin with bombs, but they suffer from several issues such as inconsistency, the potential to have it used against you, and also the annoying mental gymnastics of finding out if you should use the bombs in combat or save them for future gates. Overall, Red Pikmin and Pikmin 1 are very useful and have many uses, but forget about that, we're on to Pikmin 2. After Pikmin 1, these guys just get thrown straight into the trash. Red Pikmin go from being a solid Pikmin type that can easily dish out damage to easily a contender for one of the worst Pikmin types in the series. I actually do not know where to start with these guys, they're bad in every way in this game. Let's start off with the obvious fact that Purple Pikmin outclass Red Pikmin in basically every factor. Purple Pikmin can do 2 times damage, plus they home in on enemies, plus they do 50 damage on impact, plus they have a 10% chance to stun enemies, plus they can instantly weigh down flying enemies. Yeah, 1.5 times damage isn't seeming that impressive now. Fire is also a non-issue in this game. In Pikmin 1 it takes about 1.5 seconds to kill Pikmin, but in Pikmin 2, fire takes about 5 seconds to kill Pikmin, which gives you plenty of time to react. Not to mention, fire geysers can be dealt with by any type of Pikmin pretty easily, and it's also kinda underutilized, like some late game caves don't even feature fire. With fire being such a non-issue in this game, it's usually better not to bring Red Pikmin to caves, which saves up space for a better type of Pikmin. The only thing keeping Red Pikmin somewhat viable in this game is the fiery Bullblacks. This is a very dangerous enemy and it's usually best to bring Red Pikmin to deal with it. It can be dealt with Purple Pikmin, but it's risky and it can get them killed, which you usually don't want your Purple Pikmin dying. Even then it gets used pretty sparsely, only getting used 6 times. 2 of those times you have to deal with it with Blue Pikmin, and in caves only gets used 3 times, all in the final area, and one of them you get Bulbman right before. If you know there's a fiery Bullblacks in a cave, it's usually best just to bring 5 Red Pikmin and top up on Bitter Spray, and considering they really only show up at the late game, you should have plenty of Bitter Spray at that point. You'll be using Red Pikmin so little throughout the game it's actually comedic, and I decided to count up how many times Red Pikmin are actually useful throughout the game. I looked through all 105 sublevels, all 4 areas and all 30 challenge mode levels in a total of 139 different locations throughout the game, and I counted up which ones Red Pikmin were actually useful in. And by useful, I don't just mean, oh there's fire in this sublevel, oh better bring Red Pikmin. No, I mean they're actually useful in this sublevel. Fire can be dealt with by any type of Pikmin, so fire isn't just like a sole reason to bring Red Pikmin in this game. Alright, anyways, throughout the game, the locations in which Red Pikmin are actually useful are Hola Beast sublevel 3 and 4. Fire is actually good enough to tread here, and it's usually quicker to just bring Red Pikmin. The White Flower Garden sublevel 2. There's 2 fiery blowhogs, and it's usually quicker to just dismiss purples and use reds to just get through the sublevel quicker. Citadel of Spiders sublevel 2. You're in a pretty cramped space here, so it is convenient to have Red Pikmin deal with the fire geysers here. Bullblack's Kingdom sublevel 2 and 7. The puzzles can only be dealt with by Red Pikmin. The Perplexing Pool. They are really only good for dealing with one fiery Bulbax in the entire area. It's the only outdoors area in the game that they're actually good at. Cavern of Chaos sub-level 2, quite a big jump in progression. There is 3 fiery Bulbaxes, and you usually want to bring 5 Red Pikmin and Bitter Spray to deal with it. Dream Den sub-level 5. Fiery Bulbax and 22 Fire Geysers. It's safe to say you would need some Red Pikmin here. Cavernous Abyss. Red Pikmin are pretty good for dealing with the Raging Longlegs in the sub-level. It's one of the few instances where their 1.5 times damage modifier is good. The Cryptic Cavern. Their 1.5 damage kinda comes in handy here, but you only have 10 Pikmin total, so I'm not sure if this one really counts, but I'll just include it anyways. Hazard Training. There's actually a good amount of fire here, and they work pretty good with the blue Pikmin in the sub-level. Subterranean Lair. There's 3 Bulbears, and their 1.5 damage modifier actually comes in useful here. Rumbling Grotto. It's easier to deal with the pileated Snagrid in this floor with the red Pikmin. That is every single location which they are useful in, and in total that is 14 out of 139. Some of those barely even count, like the Perplexing Pool, where you'll be using them for one enemy and that's it. Now you may be asking, what are red Pikmin useful for in this game? And the answer to that is nothing really, except for filler in the early game. And even then they're still just kinda there because purples do the best damage and whites do the best speed in the early game, so red Pikmin just exist. Overall, red Pikmin are just pretty useless in this game and basically have nothing to do. Even compared to other lower tier Pikmin like yellow Pikmin and Pikmin 2, they still have far better qualities. Electric walls are common and only yellow Pikmin can deal with those, their throat height is handy for a few enemies and bosses, and electricity is insta-kill in this game, which can be pretty scary if you're new to the game. Moving on to Pikmin 3, and you think after Pikmin 2 these guys wouldn't be as useless. You would be wrong. In my opinion, this is the least balanced Pikmin game. You have Rock and Wing Pikmin, who are the best Pikmin types in this game. Then you have Red, Yellow, and Blue Pikmin, which are basically just there for filler and the few puzzles they're required for. And then we have Purples and Whites who, like, I don't even know why they're there. They basically do nothing in this game. All 3 of the primary Pikmin really fall under the same issues in this game, where you really don't need them for anything. Fire is yet again a non-issue in this game. There's only 2 enemies that utilize fire, 3 if you include the Plasma Wraith at the end of the game, and basically all these enemies are just best dealt with by Rock Pikmin. Even the enemies that are covered in fire, which you'd think you'd have to use Red Pikmin for, no, they die quicker to Rock Pikmin. And the Fire Geysers are only used a whopping 2 times throughout the game, both of those times being also really out of the way. And in terms of combat is usually one of the last things you need to strategize for in Pikmin 3. Swarming just kills everything regardless of what Pikmin types you have, and Rock Pikmin just can kill everything in a few throws, so Red Pikmin really don't excel in this factor. In fact, it could be argued that Red Pikmin are actually the worst Pikmin in this game in terms of the main campaign. A lot of people understandably say that Blue Pikmin are the worst type in this game, and I really wouldn't blame them for thinking that. But if you compare Red Pikmin to Blue Pikmin have a few fruits they have to get and a few bridge pieces they have to build. Red Pikmin really don't have any exclusive puzzles that they have to solve, they're just kinda there. The only advantage they really have over Blue Pikmin is filler. In a usual run of Pikmin 3, you usually build up a good amount of Red Pikmin and you don't have that much time to build up Rock and Yellow Pikmin until later in the game, so you're usually forced to stick around with these guys. But the second I get to the Twilight Oak, I usually stop bringing Red Pikmin along with me for the rest of the game. Overall, Red Pikmin and Pikmin 3 are pretty worthless as well. They're not the worst type in the game, you can ask Mr. Half Damage No Resistance over there about that one, but they still are pretty useless in this game. At least they aren't alone. Moving on to Pikmin 4, and finally, after like 20 years, they aren't completely useless again. First of all, the game uses fire much more. There's fire geysers, fire floors, a lot more fire enemies, and also fire starters. The fire starters are pretty big as well. They are featured prominently throughout the game, and Ochi can't carry them. Ochi can usually counter most hazards, so having a specific thing only Red Pikmin do is pretty handy. This more frequent usage of fire is a big improvement from Pikmin 3 and 2, and it gives them much more to do in the game. They do fall a bit short in terms of combat though, because they're being outclassed by 3 different types of Pikmin, each with more advantages over the Red Pikmin, and not to mention Ochi. However, on the bright side, in Olimar's Shipwrecked Tale, their 1.5 times damage actually does come in handy because there's only 3 types of Pikmin and the game likes to throw harder enemies at you there. Overall, while they still aren't as good as they were in Pikmin 1, they have greatly improved, which is great, because I don't want to see my guys just get shafted in the shadows of other Pikmin. Now, a few of you might be curious, are they any good in Hey Pikmin? And the answer is yes. The thing is though, every Pikmin is useful in Hey Pikmin. It's actually one of the most balanced Pikmin games, surprisingly. You get a pre-selected Pikmin type for each level, and the levels are usually designed around that one Pikmin type. And there's also a plentiful amount of fire with a whole world dedicated to fire and a bunch of fire enemies. In conclusion, Red Pikmin have had a pretty rocky history. They started off a very good type, but quickly regressed into being one of the worst types in the game. However, Pikmin 4 seems to be buffing them up a bit and making them much better, which is what we'd like to see. Hopefully someday they'll be able to relive their former glory. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure to subscribe or Red Pikmin will never appear again.